TPTV.
He's a physicist, he's a metallurgist, he's a businessman and an author. And somewhere in the middle of all of that, he's also a blues singer, songwriter, and the driving force behind the Shyfrin Alliance. Here to talk about his new single, Red Blues, and his upcoming mini-album, Impression Blues, I'm delighted to welcome to TPTV, Eduard Shyfrin. My guest today is Eduard Shyfrin. Have I pronounced that correctly, Eduard?
Absolutely.
Eduard, in my off-camera introduction, I described you as being a man of, well, a polymath, being involved in so many different things at such a great level. But we're here today primarily to talk about your music. And first of all, can I just congratulate you on Red Blues, because it's your latest single, and I think it really is excellent. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I've been listening to it. I'm watching the video as well, which is excellent. But the blues, did you always get drawn towards the blues, or how did you start off your musical career?
That's a good question. My late parents, they adored jazz. And when I was a kid, I remember the sounds of music. Ella Fitzgerald, Louis Armstrong in our apartment, And then my parents sent me to the musical school when I was 7, which I didn't like at all. And I failed the exams because they said that I didn't have any pitch at all. And I was very happy about that. But my late parents didn't take no for an answer. I don't know how, but they somehow pushed me into the school. And I spent there 7 years learning classical piano, guitar, theory of music, history of music. It was a very good musical education. And of course, I'm extremely grateful to my late parents for what they have done. And of course, they made me friendly with music for life. And when I was a student in the university, I played guitar. I sang some popular songs for my friends. Not on a very professional level, of course, but just for my friends. And then after graduation, I started working at the mill and then business. So it was a big time gap. And when lockdown arrived all of a sudden, 2020, I realized that first time in my life might be I have free time, which I hate to waste time. So I've decided, why don't I restart my music lessons? And I hired a teacher, started taking lessons of vocal, guitar, it came back very quickly.
Yeah.
Then we moved to the south of France. And I told my wife, Olga, why don't we have some fun? And I organized the band. I gathered local musicians, very talented guys.
Yeah.
And I played rhythm guitar and sang. And we, let's say, threw a gig once a year at my birthday for family, for friends here in the south of France. So that's it. That was it. But it's never crossed my mind that I would compose music. Then all of a sudden, 2023, I composed the first song. It was I See Your Eyes. My vocal teacher, Lizzie Park, she's British, she's a brilliant jazz singer. I asked her, is it some kind of music? Does it have a right to exist? She said, yes, it has a right to exist. So I said, well, okay, fine. And then one by one, I composed more and more compositions. And I'm a man of action. I had nothing to lose. So I thought to myself, why don't I record them for me, for family, whatever.
Yeah.
And that's what I've done. The first album in Paris, it was Upside Down Blues. Then second album, In the Shadow of Time, it's an album solely dedicated to the concept of time. 7 rock blues compositions. Then I recorded in Abbey Road, in the iconic Beatles studio. For me, it was a cultural shock that I'm there, you know. As a kid, when I was a kid in Ukraine, we listened to the Beatles music somehow, and it never crossed my mind that I will be in the Beatles studio in Abbey Road. You know, that's
Yeah.
life is very interesting. And I recorded the Impression Blues albums for blues compositions. First one, Red Blues, been released already, and I released some other compositions, recorded, sorry, some other compositions. Now I'll be releasing one by one the blues on the Impression Blues, and I'm actually prepared that it's ready and recorded the soft jazz album, 5 compositions in French. I sing in French. It's about France, Côte d'Azur, Paris, Courchevel skiing. Yeah, that's it basically.
Gosh.
And also new development. I've released 2 remixes produced by Todd Terry.
Out of all the genres, though, I mean, you were, as you said, trained classically, and
Yeah,
you had jazz music playing in the home. But what drew you towards the blues then?
that's a good question. You know, I wrote the article and I published this article in Jerusalem Post, which is called "Why God Loves Blues." Because I posed this question exactly. I posed the same question to myself: Why blues? I posed myself a question. The blues pentatonic is one of the same, yeah, more or less.
Yeah, yeah,
But we have thousands of variations, and we are never bored. What's the secret of the blues? The one and the same pentatonic. That I was puzzled. Why that? Definitely, I thought to myself, somehow this pentatonic matches our soul, the structure of it. So that is why we like it. We are never bored. Because there is a theory. It's not my theory. It's a great thinker, Blaise Pascal and others. They put forward a theory that something beautiful is what matches our soul.
yeah.
And we consider ugly what is far away, where we have tensions with what doesn't match our soul, different structures. I like this theory. It makes sense. So what I've decided to do, blues pentatonic is based on certain intervals, yes, numbers, 1.5, 2.5, if you play it on the piano, minor pentatonic. In the Bible, God gave Moses the sizes when he told him, build the Ark of Covenant. And in the Bible, nothing is superfluous. If there is something, let's say a number, it means something.
Yeah.
And I all of a sudden realized that the sizes of the Ark of Covenant, 1.5, 2.5, are the same like in a blues pentatonic. 1.5,
Gosh.
2.5. Just the same. And proportion is a golden ratio. Have you heard about the golden ratio?
Yes.
Golden mean. It's everywhere, actually. In the art, in the fine art, in sculptures, in paintings. Why is there? Because the artists, they subconsciously realize somehow that this proportion is good for our eyes, for our ears, for everything. That this proportion matches our soul. That is blues, based on the golden ratio and the sizes of the Ark of Covenant. And I published the article, Why God Loves Blues.
I mean, as a genre, in some ways, it could be looked upon as being quite limited, and yet within that, it is so expressive as well. And it also seems, when I'm listening to you singing it, though, it just seems that it is something that fits with yourself so naturally. Is that something you were aware of?
Look, we have a say in Judaism. What comes from heart goes into the heart. You understand what that means?
Yeah,
If it's not coming from your heart, from your soul, it will not enter other people's soul.
you've got to believe
That's a
it.
law. That's a universal law. It should come from you, nature. In this case, people will trust you. That's this is you. This is real. Otherwise, you can write lyrics about many things, It could be good lyrics, but it will not be from inside, from you.
Yeah.
That's the point. My theory is, there is a notion holism, if you heard. It's a notion in science and philosophy. It's a very interesting notion. Holism means that the whole is bigger than the sum of its parts. You understand?
Yeah.
So it's a universal law. When you write a song or book, or you create a sculpture, painting, the goal should be to reach the state of holism, when the whole is bigger than the sum of its parts. For example, if you take the song, you have a melody, you have a vocal, you have lyrics, you have expression. These are parts, components. The state of holism when your song is bigger than some of these components. It's very difficult to achieve, or if you achieve it, that's a bingo.
Well, you've achieved it with Red Blues. I, as I said it just now, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's
Thank you.
it's a song which I think appeals on many levels. So, can you tell us a little bit about the story behind it, please?
Uh, Look, I love art, fine art. Uh, I love different artists, different styles. One of my favorite style is surrealism. Salvador Dali, René
Yeah,
Magritte, because surrealism, that's a, let's say, expression of your subconsciousness on the canvas. So I wanted to bring a new dimension to the blues. I wanted to create blues surrealism, to express through the blues your subconscious, your attitude, subconscious attitude to the world, which actually shapes your conscious attitude. And that's the story behind the album. I called it Blues Impression, but because surrealism, that's a long word. Actually, it's a blues surrealism.
I see red world, made of red thoughts. I see red world.
Red color, that's a color of tension, color of alarm, of distress, color of might. In Kabbalah, red, it's a color of concept of gura, punishment, judgment, force, might, distress.
yeah,
That's what is red blues about. I want to express the redness of how everything is red around us. Red blues is coming down on me. So it's distressing, it's alarming. But at the same time, we should stay resilient to that. That's behind red blues. That's a blues surrealism.
yeah.
Then I have three more on the different.
Well, that brings us into the Impression Blues. It's a chromatic odyssey, and I believe you're releasing them every season. Is that correct?
Next single I'm going to release in September.
Yeah,
Then November, it might be January. Four singles.
4 singles.
Because they have names. The next single is On the Edge of Rain. After that, I have a Blues of Twilight. And the concluding one is Icy.
And are we being taken on a journey with these different tracks? Are they leading up to a culmination of something?
That's a good question. To be honest, I don't know. The jury is out. But look, I don't like boundaries, to be honest. We are all surrounded by boundaries in our life in this world. Yeah. On one hand, we cannot imagine our world without boundaries. But on the other hand, we can cross the boundaries. Some people are afraid. I like to cross the boundaries.
Yeah,
For example, I cannot say that my blues is the best ever. No, but what I can say that nobody so far has done surrealism blues, for example. That's I can say.
Yeah.
Or nobody, let's say, released the album dedicated solely to the concept of time. I'm not saying that is the best in the world, of course not. But I've done something that other people didn't do. I crossed the boundaries. For me, that's interesting.
Definitely, and it's authentic, and there is no one else. There is only one of you. So it is your interpretation, your story. It's unique. The production on all of it. That's the thing that struck me. It doesn't sound like a man in the back room strumming on a guitar and recording in his bedroom. It's a very, very high standard. Can you tell us a little bit about the production?
Look, I aimed to the top quality because I've said, look, people might like my music, they might not, but the quality should be top. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. That's a task I set before my team and my managers. I want a top quality. That's it.
Well, you've achieved that.
We recorded in France with the best France rock blues musician, best French rock blues musician. We recorded in Abbey Road with the Robin Ford, Ina Palladino, big names in music.
Yeah.
That's why I am to the top. My aim was, let's say, my goal, top quality. It's not a guarantee that people will like my compositions, but the quality must be top.
Well, the thing that stands out when we listen to any of your music is your voice. Now, I know that you worked upon it. It's extremely unique and it has such a rich quality to it. Can you tell us how you managed to get? I mean, you mentioned before just now that you didn't have tone. Well, that's not apparent these days. So, how did you manage to get your voice to that quality?
I drank a lot of whiskey and I smoked.
That's great. That's a great answer. Very much in the
Maybe,
blues
but the
tradition.
amount of whiskey and cigarette cross the threshold, then I got my voice,
How do you manage to push it down so deep and it has that rich
Uh,
quality to it?
that's a good question. I told you that I used to sing when I was a young man, and then from time to time we went to karaoke, and my voice always was low. Always was low, but it was no. I didn't pay attention to that. Then I started taking lessons in 2020 on the vocal, and I continued here in the south of France. And all of a sudden, my teacher, Lizzie Park, she's a general manager also of Shyfrin Alliance. She told me, Edward, there are many, many people, tenors, and not that many people with a bass, with a low voice. Why don't you try to sing low? That was absolutely out of the blue.
Yeah.
But then I tried and we started, But I continued lessons and I expanded I expanded my range, vocal range. Now, as of today, I have a range 2.5 octaves from the very low till high.
Yeah.
I, I have a range. I developed it. We cannot diminish or overlook the role of whiskey and cigarette.
Tell me, you have, as I said at the beginning, many talents, and I know that you've also got a book out at the moment, and it is the relativity of death.
Yeah, that's a second book, actually. The first book on the topic was published in 2019, From Infinity to Man. And that's a second book, The Relativity of Death, Part 1. All been well, I am preparing Part 2, Part 3, Part 4.
I've been since I knew you were coming on. I've been looking into it. I've been looking into and actually reading some of it already. But when you think of what you're writing as an author and what you produce as a musician, is there a crossover between the two?
It's not a crossover. Everything is inextricably connected. You cannot call it even crossover. that's inseparable parts of myself. And I do believe, I'm sure 100%, that my Kabbalah information research influenced my music.
People are going to want to know how they can find out more about you and how they can be able to follow what you're producing with music.
Until recently, I was not represented in the social media world. But then I realized that I should be there. So I have a Facebook, Eduard Shyfrin. I have a Facebook, Shyfrin Alliance. I have an Instagram, Shyfrin Alliance. I have YouTube, Shyfrin Alliance. I have Wikipedia. And I have a lot of articles published in Israel, UK, US, Canada, interviews. So there is a lot of information about it.
You've said that if you go down the road which has already been built, you will never reach a new destination.
Our sages said this, but this is logical. If you are going down the road which was built, you will not arrive to the new destination. At some point, you should abandon the road and turn right or left, and build your part of the road.
That was going to lead me into that very thing. Whereabouts do you see yourself building and the road taking you now?
Look, that's a good question. Somebody told me 3 years ago that, Edward, you would be composing music. I would say, you're joking, for example. And then now I have like 25 or 28 compositions. You never know, first of all. We cannot predict the future, and that's the beauty of our life. So my position is, do what I can, and do it systematically, and work hard whatever you do. Otherwise, it's a wastage of time. And don't be afraid to enter the new realms. I'm always afraid, but I'm always entering them.
Yeah.
Because there is always risk that people will say, Edward, what you have done is rubbish, So to be on the safe side, some people say, I won't do anything bad, I will not be criticized. I'm not afraid of that. It's okay.
You've got to be expressive. You've got to live your life as well.
Yeah. Look, that's a part. I can tell you something. In the Bible, there are commandments. Do this, do that. Don't do this, don't do that. Our sages pose the question: what is the reward for all that? If you follow the commandment.
Yeah. And
they gave brilliant answers. The reward for the fulfilling the commandments is the commandment itself. Commandment itself. So for me, the reward of writing books, creating music, that's my life. That's a reward. Yes, of course, we all want the recognition and likes and views. It's important, but the biggest reward, that's my life.
Well, I've thoroughly enjoyed what you've produced so far. I am looking forward to what you're going to produce next. Edward, whatever you decide to do, I wish you all the very best with it.
Thank you. Likewise.
It's a pleasure to speak to you. All the best with Red Blues, Impression Blues, and your book as well.
Thank you very much. You posed the brilliant questions. That's very important.
Hey, look, it's really great to speak to you. I look forward to the next time again. And all the best with everything.
All the best. Have a great day.
Andy, nice to speak to you. Bye-bye now.